Hello, this is Ramin with RaminDigital on YouTube and RaminDigital.com. I have another Vegas tutorial for all of our subscribers, so you can always find something even on a regular video editing. You can always use it and just make the effects a little small. It's called film effect, mostly that if you want a vintage or aged film. I'm going to go through it real quick. I'm going to show you something. You saw the preview intro that I just played before this thing. That was created, just a stock footage, put some text on it, and I applied the effect to it. I'm just going to bring a stock footage onto my track. And you see it's just a footage of, I don't know, New York City or whatever it is, somewhere, and it's going like that. So now we wanted, one of the things, like the reason I'm doing this thing, we did a promo for one of our clients, and they had a bunch of 70s, and I noticed every one of those footage back in the early 70s when they made them, since they didn't have digital cameras, so everything had this green tint on it, and they were a little faded, and because they were using 35mm camera, there was a flicker to it, and it had a green tint to it, not very sharp and very digital like what you see in here. So I brought my footage into the track. I go into video effects and look for film effect, as the name suggests. There are some presets in there that you see, you can use it, but I'm just gonna go, I created one that's called 70s, which I applied all of my changes to it. But I'm gonna go as a default, I'm gonna drag this guy onto my timeline. Nothing happens, we don't see anything different on your screen. Now this thing has multiple effects built in it. One of them is like, I'm gonna go through them, it's like a dust, flicker, hair, jitter, scratches. Like dust, and all the names kind of have meaning. Dust meaning that if you enable the dust particles, on the film you're gonna get some dust, some small particles, and some effects on it. Flicker, as the name suggests, is just gonna, the screen is gonna flicker, and it depends the amount that you put in there. If it's gonna flicker real fast, it'll give you a headache, or it's just like it was a 35mm film, and over the years it got old and it got aged. In order for every one of these effects to work, you need to enable the particle. Like you select the dust, you enable it, and then the amount of dust you want to put in there. If it's a 0 and you look at your footage, you won't see anything. I'm just gonna crank this up to the max. Okay. If you look very closely, since my preview is half, you won't see it, but you're gonna see all kind of little grainy dust on here. Next one is flicker. Again, enable the particle for the flicker to actually apply, and the amount is 0. So when you play your footage, nothing. So as you increase the amount, if you look at the preview screen, you see it that is changing, it's flickering. Like I'm going to put it in half. Okay, this is our max, and this is our low, and this is a medium. So now if I play my footage, you see it's got that flicker in it. Now this flicker is a little too much, it's going to give me a headache. So I'm going to bring it somewhere down here and then play it. Just, you have to play around with it. If you notice that you see the flicker going there, maybe we want to get it a little bit more that actually is visible. So you see the flicker, but again, it's a modern footage. The next one is hair. Hair, again, it's just like the dust particle, but they're a little bit bigger. So if you like put it in a max, we have the flicker already turned on, right? And we set it on. We're gonna put some hair in it. So if you play with this thing, again, once you render this thing, you're gonna see this little bit of, particle, a little bit of, I would say, junk on the screen. Moves. I'm gonna give it to max. Okay. So we have hair on, dust on, and jitter, and the flicker. And you see how the screen moves? Again, this might be too much. Now this particular one, it can be used in number of applications on other footage here. The last one is scratches. Scratches, like if you've seen those old films, they're going to see vertical lines going across because something gets stuck on the film. Like I'm going to put this to max. If you notice, you see all these lines on there, those are the scratches, like the film is being scratched. Now this is still a modern with the high quality camera and the color. So if you wanted to change it, make it a little bit older, the tint, you crank up your tint a little bit, just like, I don't know, about here, And of course, the color, you can change any color that you want, any kind of tint that you want to give it. In this case, we're going to go with the default. Now, if you look at the preview, you're going to see all kind of stuff in there. Now, for this purpose, for my promo, what I've done, I'm going to mute this thing. For the promo, I created one preset, which is called 70. I added some green, some little bit of flicker, a little bit of that. So I go into, this is my regular footage. They're just stock footage, very nice footage. They were created with the camera. So I go into my effects that I already put this in there, and this is my settings. I'm gonna enable this thing, and you see now this footage, it flickers and it has a greenish tint on it. Same thing with this one. So now this is, to me, it looks like those early 70s footage. So I got a whole bunch of footage. I lined them up together to the music. I added some text to it with some funky 1970s font, and you got a whole promo. So this is how easy it is to use the film effect. Again, you have to play around with it to see what's the best thing that fits with your spec or your creative project that you're doing. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'm gonna bring you a bunch of more tutorials in the future. Thanks, guys.